Good evening, I'm Ryan Benazzo. Thank you for joining us. Catalina Gillies is away today. The City of Thunder Bay is conducting a review of its relationship with the community auditorium. City Manager Norm Gale would only provide a brief statement confirming that the review is underway, quote, to explore possible options regarding the formal relationship, end quote, between the city and the entertainment venue. A report will be presented to City Council in the near future. The 1,500-seat Performing Arts Center was built in 1985. The city owns the building and provides the auditorium with operating subsidies of about $740,000 annually. The facility is overseen by an 11-member board that includes 2 city councilors, one of whom is Kneebing's Cody Fraser. He says this is all part of a larger program services review commenced in 2018 to look for efficiencies and improve the current relationship. Fraser was asked whether the review could result in the auditorium operating more independently.
It's a complicated kind of formula how it is run now, and it is quite hands-off, to be honest with you. I don't exactly know what the desired outcome is. I don't necessarily know, where the review will head, and that's being completely frank. All I can really share with you is that a review is happening, and once any decision has made, and I emphasize this, if a decision is made. There might not ever be a decision made. It might just be status quo. That all that information will be made public.
Another source involved in the negotiations, who asked to remain anonymous, says both parties are seeking changes to firm up a relationship that is perceived as having become too loose over the years. That same source says there's no scenario presently being contemplated that would see the city stop subsidizing the auditorium. Ontario NDP leader Andrea Horwath says many small businesses are being left behind by the Ford government's recent announcement to allow stadiums and theaters to operate at full capacity. She notes places like restaurants and bowling alleys are still struggling with capacity restrictions, but some business owners here in Thunder Bay say they're not concerned about the situation. Mitchell Ringos has the details.
With the announcement on Friday, people can once again go to the movie theaters and stadiums without worry of capacity limits or social distancing, as long as masks are worn and vaccine passports are provided. NDP leader Andrea Horwath says Doug Ford is treating small local businesses differently from the big players once again, as places like restaurants and bowling alleys are still affected by social distancing requirements. Restaurants can either increase the distance between tables or add plexiglass between tables to increase capacity. Rooster's Bistro owner Jim Camuzzi is content having fewer tables and says he never plans to go back to 100% capacity.
More right now is not better. I'm still like the distancing rules. I like the masking rules. I like the fact that knowing that everybody that is in the restaurant is vaccinated to the fullest and that we've checked everything. So as far as 100% capacity, I'm not quite there myself.
Bowling alleys are also not able to open to full capacity, but can get closer to 100% by installing plexiglass between the lanes. Mario's Bowl General Manager Bill Graham says they're fine with the current limits as they're able to accommodate enough customers, not only bowling, but also in the restaurant.
Safety-wise, I'm okay with where we're at right now. We do have some like barricades and stuff between the lanes for distancing for people and that kind of stuff. And overall, we've talked to most of our leagues, and most of them still want that in place. So, got to go with what our customers want to do too. So.
Graham says the one concern he has for when they do open to full capacity is finding enough staff to hire.
I think my bigger concern is more about the employment situation. All right, I mean, a lot of the places want to open up more. I mean, we're already struggling to have employees. So if you're going to put more people in there, you need more employees, and we're already struggling with where we're at now. So I think the employment situation's got to be fixed a little bit first.
Mitchell Ringos, TBT News.
While those local business owners aren't bothered by Ontario's decision, others across the province are angry, saying it doesn't make sense to enforce physical distancing and capacity limits in their businesses, but not at concerts or sporting events. Colin DeMello has more on that.
In a little over 24 hours, 19,000 vaccinated fans will stream into Scotiabank Arena, where physical distancing is a public health measure of the past. The provincial government rewrote the COVID-19 restriction playbook on Friday. lifting capacity limits at concert venues and sporting facilities, citing the limited number of outbreaks connected with these settings.
The decision around the capacity or the ability to have people attend at stadiums and other venues was one that was made in cooperation with the Chief Medical Officer. We will absolutely continue to work with him.
The change, however, triggered an outpouring of anger in the restaurant industry.
I think we spent most of the weekend being shocked and stunned at the announcement, trying to understand how you can allow 18,000 people to sit next to one another, taking their masks off, drinking, shouting, screaming, and yet we've got capacity limits on the patio. How does that make any common sense at all? We don't understand. We're looking for answers.
Today, the government convened an emergency meeting with members of the restaurant industry. Critics say they deserve an answer.
I don't know why he made that decision, but certainly, it's the little guy that we rely on to animate our main streets and to keep our local economies going. And I know people are very, very upset that this decision was made.
But what exactly could change? The government says when it comes to capacity, restaurants and arenas have the same limits.
We should be clear that those facilities don't have strict capacity limits, but they have requirements for social distancing.
But with 2 meters of physical distancing, restaurateurs say they're forced to seat just half the number of diners. Even infectious disease specialists say Ontario could re-examine those restrictions.
I don't see an issue, for example, if restaurants were able to put more people in the indoor venue, just like I have no issue with the stadiums putting more people into their indoor venues. Having said that, it always comes with a caveat. And that caveat is if things appear to be headed in the wrong direction, you have to pivot quickly.
It's unclear whether the backlash will trigger another change in decision making. Colin DeMello, CTV News.
Just over 2,000 COVID-19 vaccines were administered last week across the Thunder Bay district. Nearly 800 of those were first doses. Those numbers are both the lowest since the health unit began releasing them publicly. However, the district vaccination rate remains second best in Ontario. According to the Ministry of Health, 92% of those who are eligible have gotten at least one dose, and 86% have received both shots. Meanwhile, the health unit is reporting one new COVID-19 case over the long weekend. It comes from the Thunder Bay area and is related to travel outside of northwestern Ontario. It's the only active case in the district. There's also one new case coming from the Northwestern Health Unit today. It's in the Rainy River District. There are now 5 active cases across the NWHU, down from 14 on Friday. A transport truck driver is facing a dangerous driving charge after his tractor trailer left the road and burst into flames on Highway 17A near Kenora. These dramatic images were posted on the Skilled Truckers Canada Facebook page. The transport struck a rock cut around 2 o'clock this morning, with the tractor unit becoming engulfed in flames. The driver and one other occupant of the truck escaped safely, according to Kenora OPP. Fortunately, no other vehicles were involved. The OPP laid a charge of dangerous operation of a motor vehicle against the driver of the rig. The incident closed Highway 17A between Airport Road and Jones Road. It opened around 10 o'clock this morning. The town of Manitouwadge is celebrating the arrival of new physicians after the local hospital was faced with a major doctor shortage last month. Santé Manitouwadge Health recently had both of its full-time doctors retire. And with just weeks left before the hospital saw its doctor complement hit 0, one of its locums signed on full-time. Santé Manitouwadge now has 2 full-time physicians who cover long-term care, the emergency room, as well as a private clinic. Hospital CEO Debbie Hardy says the recruiting process can be stressful with a community of 2,000, including many elderly people needing care.
Sometimes we're waiting for the Ministry of Health to sign the contracts with the physicians, so we're not really sure where the process is. And as much as we like to think they're signing on, until that process is complete, there's no guarantees. So yeah, we've had a couple sleepless nights hoping that things would work out, and thankfully they've worked out.
Hardy says they're still looking to recruit one more full-time doctor. She's glad that job fairs have returned so they can showcase the benefits of working in Manitouwadge. The United Way and Skoda have partnered with a foundation created by music icon Shania Twain to benefit children in Thunder Bay. The Shania Kids Can charity is providing money to new Bewaseya program launched today at St. Vincent's School. It allows children to enhance their life skills through a variety of activities. Danielle Bain explains.
Children at St. Vincent Elementary School gathered to experience the launch of the new Bewaseya program. It offers in-school and after-school activities like crafts, nutrition options, grandfather teachings, and other life skills. Executive Director of Skoda, Marilyn Junela, has a number of things she wants to see when it comes to the success of this program.
We want to see youth thrive. We want to see them graduate. We want them to learn their culture, to know who they are, to have that respect, and learn that knowledge of our traditions, to learn from our elders and from good role models.
One of the youth outreach workers involved in the program, Tiara Goodman, spoke on the positive reaction kids were having already.
I think they are amazed. I think they see something different. They see a new way that they can learn. And it's not just sitting at a desk or, looking at a board. It's being involved.
1/3 of the student population at St. Vincent identifies as being Indigenous, and grade 5 student Sarah Monius is happy to see her classmates learning about her culture.
It makes me really happy because they're learning and things about Indigenous people.
School principal Tracy Rabichuk says that beyond the children being educated, she has high hopes that her staff will be able to take something away from this as well.
I'm hoping they'll come to be more comfortable speaking on topics that are of such great importance through the mentorship of the youth outreach worker and a partnership with Bewaseya.
The daily program has been funded by the Shania Kids Can Foundation for at least the next 2 years, but no details about the size of the donation are being disclosed. According to Junela, this launch event was a great indication on how impactful it can be going forward.
That was fantastic. Right from the little ones in kindergarten, they were so respectful. They're already learning.
Danielle Bain, TBT News.
Turning to weather now, Fiona, it was a bit of a gray, wet